welcome to Signal Theory. I'm your host of this episode, Bradford. This is the Signal Theory Audio Happy Good Times Feel Good Tone Show. This is Stereo Amps Packed Volume 2. As the name suggests, it involves stereo amps. If you play in mono, you could very well still enjoy this, and we'll talk about that in a second. But this is us taking a combination of amps, in this case 8 amps, and we are giving you 4 combos. There are suggestions. Of course, you can mix and match anything we've ever released, period, with another thing we've released or other people have released. So we came up with some pairings that are similar to combos that people do often use, but we use different amps so you can get different characteristics, right? So a Matchless Independence, for example, it's like a big beefy brother combination of like the C30 and the Chieftain. It's kind of a wild circuit for Matchless, really. And a Bad Cat C40, which is like their version of a DC30. A Chieftain maybe in a C30, that's a combo people would use. Trying to give you some different sounds, not foreign, but we're also not going super cookie cutter either. Another common pairing for amps is like an American, like a Deluxe reverb and an AC30. So an American and a British Voxy thing. Well, another combo I'm going to show you specifically in this walkthrough is our Dr. Z Z80 paired with our vintage 66 Super Reverb. So you're getting that AC30 Deluxe reverb kind of thing, but with these really big amps. The Z80 is like an 80 watt version of an AC30, which is like a 100 watt version actually. The specifics on that elude me at the moment. A Super, for example, is like a real rockin' rippin' Fender, especially when you turn it up, but we're running it cleaner. So that's what this pack is. We are giving you 8 amps, set like clean edge of breakup. We'll get into specifics per unit, but it's meant to be used as a pedal platform. So for somebody that is a Helix user or an XFX III FM9 user, Quad Cortex user, you're getting patches, you're getting 2 templates. With all of our releases, we've been doing this in the last almost 2 years now. The A patch is stereo instances of the amp at the end of the chain, and all the effects run into the front, which is a typical like real world scenario. Very often people do that. Sounds really cool, a real chewy mess of wet effects in the most beautiful way. That's my preference. B is kind of like an 80s rack style thing in a way. If you think about it, like we don't have to do all the wiring and the craziness because you can just drop the amps, in this case, in the middle of the chain and run whatever stereo stuff you want after or some stuff before as well, whatever. But that's what we've been doing with our B preset typically. So we're giving you templates and then you are able to drop in whatever amps you want out of the 8 we have included here, or like I said, wherever you want to grab them from. We have some that are lower wattage, like our Monarch and our Princeton, Matchless Lightning, and the Morgan AC20. Those are sub 30 watts. And so it's nice to pan those together. Not necessary because in a digital world, things are different. But you'll notice that maybe if you paired like the Z80 with the Princeton, it may sound pretty good, but the headroom may be different. So when you're playing it clean, you may get like more out of one side and you go to drive it, and then it kind of like the other side comes up and the side that was loud doesn't keep up kind of thing. But first off, that's the beauty of it. It can sound really good and wide and different. If you'd like, you can experiment. These are 8 different amps. They're your amps. You can do with them as you choose. So what units is this product for? This is available for Line 6 Helix and HX Stomp. Podgo does not support dual amps, so it's not available for that. For Fractal, XFX III and FM9, FM3 does not support dual amps, so it's not available for that. It's available for Quad Cortex. Nano Cortex does not do dual amps. So while you could purchase this product, I actually don't know how getting these presets would work. You'd get the amps because those would get loaded into your library. So you could use that. If for some reason that seemed appealing to you, that is an option. You could do that. That would work. But the presets, the templates, they would not load because they don't work for Nano, right? Because they're too big. This is also available for TONEX, but TONEX does not have like a multi-effects unit processing thing all in one like Fractal or Helix. So you just get the captures. What you'd be getting for TONEX and Quad Cortex though are getting our specific captures from the amp. So we're giving you the captures of the amp that we're specifically designing or suggesting that you pair with another amp. So in the instance of the Morgan AC20, you were getting 2 captures from the 12AX7 side. You're getting the 2 and the 3 which are varying degrees of gain is the biggest thing. And typically, like if you have humbuckers, you probably could just default to the 2 and it would get you edge of breakup tones. If you got single coils, default to the 3 and you probably would have, you know, because they tend to be lower output than a pickup with 2 coils. But that's meant to pair with the Matchless Lightning. Again, all suggestions. We're only saying this just to give you a starting point. We know that like we have some people who are customers of ours and they feel very confident in dialing things in. Go for it. Maybe this product isn't even actually for you, but we are still giving you a really great deal by giving you all these amps together and giving you just like the edge of breakup pedal platform capture. So if that's all you use anyways, this could still be a great deal. But if you're not super confident in dialing things in, you're getting used to the digital world or you're getting used to gear period and whatnot, these are great products for you because you can get some great sounds and we love how all of these sound together. Now for Fractal and Line 6 users, you're also getting like a favorites block library, Line 6 and Fractal respectively. And that has like a lot of effects. We have those available for free on the site to begin with. And you can drag and drop different effects. Maybe a drive doesn't sound as good with your guitar with the pairing of amps, or maybe it doesn't sound great with the pairing of amps to you. Well, then you can go into the block library, the favorites block, and drag in another drive that you may like, or not use it at all. Now, one thing you may notice is that if you are trying to utilize a drive pedal with an amp that has higher wattage, maybe it doesn't sound like there's a lot of gain and you want more. Well, that makes sense because a smaller amp is going to overdrive quicker. So maybe it's been dialed in and you think like, oh, it needs more. But the opposite could be true. Maybe the OCD, the compulsive drive, sounds really good to you with the Z80 and the 66 Super, but then you swap out amps to like the Monarch and the Princeton, and you're like, oh, it's fizzy. Fizzy doesn't always mean bad, but fizzy also doesn't mean that like something's wrong either. It could just be got to bring some volume and or gain back, and that's probably something you may expect to hear when swapping to like a bigger drive with smaller wattage amps. Okay, so if you look down at the Helix I got on the floor here, looks very familiar with the scenes we got. We do 8, and we try to really cover like anything you could possibly use in this patch. Very easy to adjust them though. Just go to one that you want to adjust, like Drive Plus, for example. Get you back here and you can see what's on. If you don't like that the 808's on, you want to do something else, just make an adjustment and save and go back. If you find that you need to adjust drives, actually I mentioned that a minute ago, the best thing to do is go to the clean and step on each drive individually and listen, and if the volume is too much, which that'll change with different amps and with different guitars with, you know, different pickups or different playing styles, different hands and whatnot, just go and bring the volume of the drive back. That's not a big deal. You will be affecting the tone, but what you're hearing that you do not prefer, you would like to adjust anyways, and that's very easy. That's the nature of it. I actually pulled back for these amps. I pulled the level of the compressor back. It was like at 2 dB. On these amps that I have here, I didn't like that it was driving it a bit harder than I'd want for my bass tone, so I just pulled the level back. I'd suggest if you got a pairing you really like and you make some tweaks, save the templates first and then copy them. Drop the amps in that you want to mess with, and then so you have a clean like slate for the templates, easy to grab, and you can do that every single time. Just copy one over and start again. You've heard throughout the video every combo that we're offering specifically, but let me just show you just kind of how this sounds going through. King of Tone. Tube Screamer. OCD. Big plate verb. If you don't like it, bring the volume back, the mix back a bit. In a mix though, it sounds really good because then you can actually hear it, if that's what you're wanting. Dynamic call is our go-to. Sounds delightful. 3 delays, eighth, dotted eighth, dual stereo. I love me some eighth. Right, it's mixed a little bit lower, so you don't really notice it's there. With the verb on, it kind of, like all the trails kind of blend together a bit. With it off, it's just real nice. Like you could use that in place of verb. if you wanted to give it a little bit of ambience and it carries out the notes. Dotted eighth, you know, you can do the dotted eighth thing, the U2 thing. Then we got a dual. Eighth and dotted eighth. And then some tremolo. Chorus. So that's your A template. All you got to do is drag all the favorites or the library blocks in. And when you're here, for example, I can go here, press in, and go to my favorites. And I can just select another amp right here in the patch and bring it in. And then you would need to go and choose the IR. The match indie IR is already in there. But that's all it is. So let's go look at the B patch real quick and see what is different. The B patch, as I mentioned, the amps are in the middle. So what's cool about this is you could, if you wanted to, you could actually set these amps to not be panned when we introduce them to the chain. You could blend them and use the mixer to kind of like create a new sounding amp if you wanted to. But we have them set to be panned, so it starts your stereo field at the amps. And then you got your one IR block because we can load two in there. We got chorus, delay, trem, verb, all after that. So it's gonna keep stuff really clean. And in this set, I pulled up the 66 Super and the Z80. So like I was mentioning earlier in the video, that's like it's like a different take on the typical Deluxe Reverb AC30 combo. It's a fun combo. Here's King of Tone. All right, and here is the OCD. So again, Helix, FM9, Axe FX3, Quad Cortex, you're getting multiple presets. You're getting two for all the units, which are the templates, essentially. They do have some amps loaded in, just one of our combos, just so you're ready to go. But of course, drag and drop, whatever. When you get a Quad Cortex, you're actually gonna get two more patches. You're gonna get four total, because you're gonna get two in order for us to be able to give you all the captures that come with this pack. TONEX, you get a folder with all, I was gonna say 8, but actually 16 captures, because we're giving you the 2 and the 3. Same with Quad Cortex, actually. And it's just like a fun way to just try some different stuff. So with our last stereo amps pack, about 1.5 years ago from this release, Brian did like a video readme of sorts. He showcased a lot of different things, like how to import stuff, what you need to know. If you would rather watch a video and actually see Brian do it as opposed to read a readme, we'll have those linked below. They'll also be on the product page. So you can get some more practical info on how to utilize this if you're a little confused with swapping everything. A lot of our stuff is like import and go, but this is a little more like choose your own adventure. So we got some videos for that we'll link below. We have some more amps coming that we're really excited about that we would love to put into a volume 3 of the stereo amps pack. We'll try not to make it 1.5 years between releases this time around. But let us know if you got some amp combos you want us to try, or some that you found, or which one maybe out of this pack or volume 1 that you really liked. And please, if we haven't already asked, and if you haven't already done it, please subscribe to the channel. We'd appreciate it greatly. Head over to the website as well. There's lots of free downloads. There's a whole free download section. Join our email list so you don't miss out on, sometimes we do flash sales. Be the first to know about product releases, all that. We thank you guys so much. We hope you enjoy this pack. Download it, plug in, rock on, all that mess. We'll see you next time.